holding my hand.
Here we go.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. You can't imagine the reward. Visit adoptuskids.org to find out more. This message is brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
If you came across someone struggling with hunger, how would you recognize them? By their clothes, their age, the way they speak? Would you notice a 16-year-old boy who got his first job?
Not for extra spending money, but to help feed his little sisters?
Or a mother who's in between jobs and sometimes goes to bed hungry so her kids can have dinner? Or a 14-year-old girl who signs up to every after-school activity,
not to make friends, but just to get something to eat?
Or a retiree who fell ill and had to
choose between getting medicine or groceries.
I am the 1 in 8 Americans who struggle with hunger. People you pass by every day but never knew were hungry. I am hunger in America.
Hunger can be hard to recognize. Learn why at IamHungerInAmerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America, 200 Food Banks Strong, and the Ad Council.
Welcome into The Breeze with DP and Haas on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, welcome into The Breeze. I am Harrison Arns, not DP. Still thoughts and prayers out to DP. Hopefully he starts feeling better pretty soon here. But we are here joined with Haas, as always, the host of the show. And we got a full schedule today. I believe we have a special guest calling in as well later in the show around 1:30, I believe, or 12:30, excuse me. He'll be joining us. But if you guys have any questions, hit up the Starter Heyman text line. That's 402-464-5685. I will take phone calls as well. Same number, 402-464-5685. So, Haas, how's it going, man? It's been since last Sunday we talked. We kind of broke down some wrestling and a little bit about what's going on in the NFL. What's been going on, man?
Yeah, obviously the NFL is getting to an exciting point with teams starting to set up for playoffs. College football is pretty exciting. Just trying to see who the top 6 will be, but MLB, pretty cool to see a 1-1 World Series. I will never bet against Houston, even though I don't like them. I think Dusty Baker is a great manager and he deserves to get his 1. However, a 6 seed beating all those good teams, that means they're powerful. They're going to go home. Those Philly fans are going to throw batteries and boo Santa Claus and throw beer cans on the field, and somehow I think the series will come back to Houston with Philly having a lead. So we'll see if Houston can win 2 at home to win the World Series. So that's my prediction for the World Series. But before we get started on the NFL, wanted to preview what we're going to talk about for wrestling. And,
go for it.
And with DP not here, it's so hard. I talked to DP earlier, and the amount of knowledge that DP has in wrestling is just, it's an encyclopedia on steroids. It's much better than Google will ever be. And so I want listeners to call in or text in today and give their 2 cents on who their top 5 wrestler on the mic is and wrestler. So I wanted to put Paul Heyman in my top 5. I wanted to put Vince McMahon in my top 5 because they're so good on the mic, but it needs to be a wrestler. So call in, text in after about 12:30 your time and 1:30 Eastern time. We're going to talk wrestling. So love to hear what everyone thinks. I will say this. I will give you the 5 that didn't make my top 5. And then you guys can argue and say, no, they should definitely be in there. Or who am I missing? But Piper, Cena, HBK, Chris Jericho, who I believe is very underrated and doesn't get enough attention, and Stone Cold Steve Austin are the 5 that didn't make my top 5. So
wait, you said John Cena doesn't make it?
Correct.
Oh man, so that one hurts me because that's my era, man. That's jean shorts and everything. I was about it. There were some kids rocking jean shorts when I was in elementary, and That one's hard for me. If I had to pick, he's definitely up there. I mean, I'm not DP. I don't got that encyclopedia of, wrestler knowledge, but man, that's hard to believe that he doesn't crack into that list. He was so good on the mic, man.
Yeah, he was. He really was. And despite not being liked by real wrestling fans, he put people over when he wanted to, and the thugonomics stuff that he did was great, but he's not in my top 5. And so call in, text in. How do they call in and text in? Is it 402-464-5685?
Yep, nailed it.
Cool.
They can call in or text with that same number. We'll take either or.
Awesome. So love to hear what other people think. I'll give you the top 5 after 12:30 Central Time. But let's make this a community show. But let's go ahead and kick it off with power rankings. Do you have any thoughts on the top 10 in the NFL, Harrison, or do you want me?
Yeah, I'll be honest. When I was going through this, this is way harder than I realized. When you kind of know at the top, you're like, all right, these are the dogs, right? These are the guys that I can legit see you winning it. And then you get to the bottom, and I'm looking at teams like the Seahawks, and I'm like, are you actually good? Like, what's going on? And then the Jets somehow. And then I'm like, are the Dolphins just bad again? It got way harder than I realized the further I got down, because I look at some of those teams and I'm like, I hate to call you a top 10 in the power rankings, because there's so much uncertainty towards the bottom there. But I mean, you're looking at wins and losses and like how they won those games. So yeah, I'm interested to see. You want to go top to bottom or bottom to top?
Let's go 10 through 1.
Okay, 10 through 1.
Yep.
Okay, you want us to crack it off here? I'm curious to see what your 10 is.
All right, fine. Actually, no, you do it.
Okay.
You do it.
At 10, I got the Dolphins. They're a little disappointing at times, but you look at guys, when Tua is healthy and they'll have Waddle and Tyreek Hill, that is still just such an elite offense. Their defense is a little shaky at times, but for how explosive that offense can be, despite some of the ebbs and flows that team's having, there's no way I can put an offense that can be that explosive on any given day outside of the top 10. So I thought about putting them lower, but thinking about that offense and how explosive it can be, I slid them up to 10.
Who's your number 9?
It's a 9. This one's we're gonna go the Giants. as weird as it sounds, the New York Giants just keep winning, and I don't want to believe it. I want to say it's not legit, but they just keep winning games, man. And Daniel Jones, he isn't being asked to do anything he can't do, So you look at that team, and at first I was worried about Daniel Jones because every system he's been in, he's been asked to do things that he's not great at. And with this team, having guys like Saquon Barkley that you can really rely on, and then Daniel Jones, who's actually pretty decent running the ball as a quarterback, they put teams in a lot of trouble just by the style of offense they're playing. Like it always comes down to close wins, but because they've essentially mastered clock management and like owning possession of the ball, it really throws teams off. So it might be the most surprising turnaround I've ever seen, but I'm going to throw them in at number 9.
Who you got at 8?
This gets a little dicey again. So 8, I'm not in love with this one, but I'm going Minnesota Vikings. Kirk Cousins disappoints me over and over again, but you still got guys like Jefferson out there. I think that defense is still pretty solid. I do like that defense. It's not elite by any means, but kind of based on what they have left in the schedule play, I can see those guys continuing to get better. Just keep revving up. So they can maybe slide down a little more, but for right now, I feel pretty good about having them at 8. And then you just want me to keep going here through my top 10?
Bottom 5, and then I'll give my bottom 5.
Okay, so that was 8 right there. So 7,
Yep.
We're going to go with the Baltimore Ravens. They have also kind of shaky. They're 4-3 right now. Not necessarily the start you thought they were going to be having. Maybe part of that was just kind of guys being hurt. But at the same time, you're still looking at a guy in Lamar Jackson who was an MVP quarterback at one point in time, and the amount of threat they can have. It's kind of the same thing. I'm not super in love with the defense, but the offense, they can be explosive, kind of the same way that we've seen a lot of other teams been. And then going up to number 7, or that was 7. So going up to number 6 here. Man, 6. I don't feel great about this one. I kind of want to switch those around, but I'll keep it for right now. Hindsight, I'd like to switch them around, but we're going to actually go with the Tennessee Titans. It's the same thing as the Giants, that brand of football where you can just own clock and eat clock and just keep that drive alive. It does a lot. And Derrick Henry, he's just consistent force every time. You kind of know what you're getting with that team, but you feel good about, it's not the most lethal offense, but it's the same thing with why I like the Giants. You got a quarterback that's serviceable, and you have, pretty good coaching for what they have. They haven't had the most awesome start by any means, but I can see them definitely ramping up here as weeks go on. Derrick Henry looks like he gets better and better every week. So I only see his production going up. So that's kind of where I slot them. That's probably my most, pick that I'm feel weirdest about. I feel like I maybe should switch Giants and Titans around because the Giants have done that, except at a better level. But that's hindsight. Going to number 5, this is when it gets a little easier.
Hold on. Let's
go for it.
Recap 10 through 6, and then I'll do my 10 through 6 real quick. If that's cool. So
yeah. So we're good. So 10, I had
10
the
was Dolphins. Yep. Good.
Yep. And then going to number 9, I believe we had the
G-Men.
Yep, New York Giants. And then honestly, in hindsight, I'd rather put the Titans at 9, and then the and then I'd rather have the G-Men up at 6.
Titans is a good one. It's okay.
And then number 8, I had the Vikings. Number 7 was the Baltimore Ravens. And then number 6, we're flipping them around. I'd like to have the Giants there, but it's what I said first. We have Titans, so that's my right there. And like I said,
Cool.
It's kind of tough at that bottom 5. I'm curious to see what you got.
Yeah, so 10 through 6, I purposely put the 49ers, and I know I'm biased, but they are very injured still. They had superstar players with groin injuries playing last week against the Chiefs, and they looked pretty decent for a little while, and then the wheels came off just because you could see that they were tired, and they couldn't have the fast twitch muscles they needed to keep up with the Chiefs. So the 49ers will even lose today to the Rams, which they've beaten 7 straight times in the regular season. But they'll probably lose today, and I still have them in my top 10 because they will make the Super Bowl in the NFC. So I don't want people to sleep on the 49ers. They have too many weapons. We talked about it last week. They're the NWO of football. And so they have to still be there, even though the Rams are going to beat them and the Seahawks will be in first place. So
yeah, McCaffrey looked awesome too. Obviously, he didn't get a ton of reps, but you could see right away. It's like, oh, that might be a problem for other teams facing McCaffrey because he fit in immediately. So that's not a bad spot for them. They were sitting at around 12 for me. I couldn't quite get him over the hump.
Yeah. And with the bye week next week, the injuries will finally start to heal. Hopefully they get Deebo Samuel back. The groin injuries, like even for Kittle had it early on to start the year, so he wasn't there. And then he started playing in, I think, week 3, and he didn't look like himself for a couple weeks. So it takes time to heal from those things, and Kittle's finally looked like himself in the last 2-3 weeks. So 49ers at 10. Bengals, even though Chase is out, they're at 9. They're a team to watch out for. They're starting to come back. Bengals and Ravens will be a nice one later on. So Bengals at 9. The Super Bowl hangover usually means you're not going to make the playoffs, but they're young and they're talented, and I think Joe Cool is going to do too much for them, so we can't knock out the Bengals.
Mm-hmm.
I have the G-Men at 8. There's not much to say since you said it. Being 6-1, you got to get a little bit of respect. Just the things that they're doing, they're playing within themselves. They're not doing too much.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's interesting, like what's going to happen at wide receiver. You'll hear should OBJ come back and play wide receiver for them, and they're doing all this without that many weapons on the outside. So as long as Saquon stays healthy, the Giants should be able to make it to the playoffs, just because the whole NFC East, they don't have that hard of a schedule the rest of the year.
No,
so
they got through the worst of it pretty much already.
Yeah. So I think the Seahawks are favored today, but and it's really hard to play at Seattle. But if the G-Men win today, watch out for them. And then the Cowboys are my number 6 team. They're a different team with Dak. I know for a while people were like, "Oh my God, Cooper Rush should be the quarterback and Dak should go." Well, Dak, even though he's not really ready, he made the throws that Dak can make. And do they finally have a defense around him? They do. They still have the weapons. Do they have a line? They do. but it's the regular season, so I'm going to keep them there. If it's the playoffs, I have them losing automatically in the first round no matter what. So regular season, you can keep the Cowboys there. And since there's not 16 games anymore, they can't go 8-8 every year. So Cowboys, you can have number 7. Number 6, it's the Vikings. Despite Kirk Cousins, they only have 1 loss. They are going to end the regular season with 6 losses. They have a pretty tough schedule, but they have 1 loss right now. They're going to win the division. They have so many weapons, and the defense is still there. So got to give them their respect and keep them at number 6.
Yeah, with the Vikings, they're lucky. Their division really just sucks this year. I mean, the Packers haven't been the Packers. The Bears look like the Bears, and the Lions look like the Lions. So you kind of, if there was a year for these guys to really take over, I mean, this would be the year. But at the same time, they're kind of same spot for me, right around there. It'll probably ebb and flow as the season goes, but they're just kind of they're a team that, you know, they might poke and prod their way in through the playoffs, maybe win some, but I don't feel very great about that team making it all the way to the Super Bowl. But that's kind of where we're at. Little differences here. The biggest one that surprised me for you was the Bengals. I like the Bengals a lot. Despite, you know, their record, they're getting better. You can see them, even with the injury. They're 4-3 right now, but I'm going to put the Bengals actually at 5. They are humming. Joe Burrow is insane. I know it looked rocky at the start, but if you look at Joe Burrow's stats and Josh Allen's stats and their, you know, first 2 seasons in the NFL, they're exactly the same. And that just kind of tells you how good Joe Burrow is with not, you know, he has weapons, but not necessarily the offensive line and the defense that the Bills have had with Josh Allen. So, I mean, you know, they obviously just had a massive blowout win over the Falcons. I think that's huge. They're going to keep picking up momentum, and that's kind of where I have them. I have a lot of faith in Joe Burrow. Like you said, that hangover, I don't think it's really going to happen. I think those guys will be just fine. So that's kind of where I have them slotted. For number 4, I'm going to go with the Philadelphia Eagles. Eagles, it's kind of one of those things where they just keep winning. So it's hard to, you know, the only undefeated team left. It's weird to put them at 4, but there's some teams above them that I just like more. Despite they're undefeated, I feel like at some point it is going to slow down, especially when you get to the playoff time. I don't know if they're going to be able to keep this train going. Their schedule even, you know, kind of ramps up a little bit here. So I have them, you know, sitting at 4. Going up to 3, we got the Dallas Cowboys. I hate it, but that defense has me convinced. Like, that defense is absolutely incredible. And if you're talking about teams, power rankings, defense is huge for me. You know, how many times do we see the Super Bowl winners be, you know, top 5, top 3 in defense? And that's what the Cowboys are doing. Cooper Rush wasn't really playing that great. In fact, he was playing, you know, just subserviceable. He wasn't making the throws that he needed to make, but that defense saved him so many times. They didn't have to necessarily score a ton of points to win those games for how good that defense is. So that's why I got them sitting at number 3. You know, Dak Prescott, we haven't seen what he's going to look like entirely. We get to see a little glimpse, but I'm going to assume that these guys continue to ramp up. They're sitting 5-2 now, and they're only going to get better. So they're sitting there for me. And then obviously going to number 2 in 1, you know who the teams are going to be. For number 2 for me, it's the Kansas City Chiefs. Obviously, that one's a little easier. They just took a loss to the Bills not too long ago. It was kind of the same thing we saw, you know, in that AFC playoff game. But the Bills just found a way to drop everyone back, really just force Patrick Mahomes to make awesome throws time and time again, and just hope one time he messes up. Sure enough, throws a pick. Von Miller gets the rush, and that's the game. So they're sitting there. And then number 1, the Buffalo Bills. That defense is amazing. That offense is stellar. I mean, you got Gabe Davis, who is like a third option on that team, and then you got Stephon Diggs. You got weapons all over the field. I know Knox as the tight end isn't necessarily the most, you know, the greatest receiving tight end, but when they want to run the ball, Knox is like an amazing run blocker for that position. So I that's kind of how I see it right now. And I'll be honest, I don't think the Bills ever really moved from that spot. That's where I like the Bills. They look like the best at the beginning. They look like the best right now. We'll see how it shakes out, but I really do like the Bills. I don't see them moving.
You should be friends with Bills fans because they will give them number 1 now, but they don't win Super Bowls. So they will come off. They will come off number 1. They'll come off the pedestal. I'll go through quickly just because I want to get through our buy-sell segment before the commercial break. just because you talked about everyone. I did have the Bengals higher up with that Chase injury. They're going to lose some games, and that's why they're going to be a little bit below. So Ravens are 5, Dolphins are 4. The only reason why they lost is because they didn't have a quarterback.
Yeah.
So if Tua is healthy, they have so much speed on that team.
It's insane.
They should change their team name to the Jets because Mostert is so fast, Hill is so fast, and Waddle is so fast. And so with all that speed, as long as you can get the ball to them accurately and throw a deep ball, which Tua can do, Tua just needs to not run. He had one run that I was like, oh my gosh, what are you doing? So
where he lowered the head?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, dude, right after it, I was like, it was so funny because before the game, he's like, yeah, I'm learning, how to take better care of my body and understand, what hits I need to be taking and not be taking and just protect myself. And it was like early in the game, just puts his head down and spears into someone's chest.
So that's his habit right there. But they're 4. If you notice, there's 4 AFC teams in my top 4. The AFC is very strong. So Ravens, Dolphins, Eagles, they might end the regular season with 1 loss. They're fast, they're strong. They're kind of like the Dolphins, and they have an easier schedule.
Yeah.
So we got to give them a little bit of respect, but come on, man. If they play the Bills or the Chiefs, they're not going to be able to. They're not going to be able to. No. So Chiefs are 2. Can't put them at 1 if they just lost to the Bills at home. Yep. Bills are 1. And love to see that rematch. 2 best quarterbacks, Bills and Chiefs. Hopefully it's the AFC Championship game.
Yeah, it looks like it. Unless Joe Burrow, the guy I'm really high on, steals it again. I'm telling you, man, this kid is going to be, God forbid he gets hurt. I am totally sold on him. We are going to have, I think it's going to be Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, and Joe Burrow is going to be the young guy, the next obvious young guy stepping up. He is that good to me, man. When I watch him play, he just makes everything look so easy. He's never confused out there. He knows where his guys are. I will be curious to see how they handle losing such an elite weapon in Jamar Chase, but that's to be seen. They still got T. Higgins, and they got Boyd, so they still got some weapons out there. Who they plug and play, we'll see. But I do still like that team. I think Joe Burrow is good enough to figure that situation out, and like I said, they still have some awesome weapons out there that can create space.
So thank you for that. We should do our buy-sell segment before we go to break, but before we do that, I think we should just briefly say who actually is in my top 5 for wrestlers on the mic, just previewing after the commercial break. And again, audience, we need your help. The man DP, he's a little bit under the weather. So 402-464-5685. Call in and say who should have made the top 5. Call in and say who should be number 1. I talked about Piper, Cena, HBK, Jericho, and Stone Cold not making the top 5. So those in alphabetical order, so no order yet because we have to actually go through it in alphabetical order. Ric Flair, Hulk Hogan, CM Punk, Dusty Rhodes, and The Rock. Those are the top 5. Call in, say who's missing from it, who should be number 1. Text what you think is wrong with the list or what you agree with. But knowing that we have about 3 minutes before the break, let's do a buy-sell on who's going to make the playoffs.
Yeah, let's go for it.
All right.
Yeah, let me pull up the list here that you sent me. The Colts, sell. Sell. They just benched Matt Ryan. I don't want nothing to do with that team.
They're going to end with 5 wins. We can go quickly on the ones that are obvious, but they're going to go with 5 wins, which means they're going to win 2 games the rest of the year. So the Colts are a sell. The Raiders.
Oh man, that's actually one of the tougher ones. I'm gonna sell on those guys too. I'll be honest. They just kind of look like the same old Raiders. They haven't done much to me. Devontae Adams, they got him, but they really haven't been able to fully utilize him yet. So I'm not buying it.
I disagree. I buy them. They're gonna go 9-8. The Chargers are gonna go 8-9, and somehow the Raiders will make the playoffs. It's just they have too many weapons. Just Devontae Adams, he's going to click. He can't not click. He was 1A or 1B last year with Cup, so you can't be that good and not do well. It's not like they have Jimmy Garoppolo at quarterback, so they should be able to make the playoffs. the Bucks, and I made this before the game on Thursday.
Yeah, man, that sucks. I actually like Tom Brady, watching him play. His off the field stuff, whatever. He's just a marketing guy. Just think it's all for sale, just to market. But yeah, I'm gonna have to sell on them too. They look awful, and I know they're banged up on the offensive line. That hasn't helped at all. But even Mike Evans has looked pretty rough. He hasn't been clicking yet. Just bizarre things happening with that team, and Tom Brady. When he's out there, he just looks depressed, man. Like, he does not look like he's having fun. And
like he looks like he just got a divorce.
Yeah, something like that. So that ties in a little bit. So yeah, I unfortunately sell on those guys too.
I'm buying them. Someone has to win the division. I don't think the Falcons can do it. The Saints might be able to do it. I think the Bucks can come back and get 9 or 10 wins. So I'm still buying them, even though they look terrible.
Yeah.
Okay. What about another team who has a GOAT at quarterback who should be dominating the NFC but is not? The Packers.
So this one's actually gonna probably surprise. I'm actually buying on the Packers. They have not looked good, but their losses are so frustrating. I think they can work it out, because there's so many times where if they would just commit to running the damn ball, they're actually really good at it. But for some reason, they're up and they will just drop, Aaron Rodgers for first, second, and third down, just all shotgun passes. And it's like, well, 3 and out. Like, why are you just run the damn ball? It's that classic saying, but like, they could have racked up wins already if they would just stop trying to get cute with throwing the ball and extending the lead, when just hold on to the lead. So there are some things there where I think they're fixable. It's not like you have to overhaul anything. You actually are playing good football at times. You just need to learn on how to capitalize it when you have the possession. So I'm actually going to buy on those guys.
It's a must-win game tonight, and yeah. I believe the Vikings will have 6 losses, but I think the Packers will end up 9-8. So I am selling on the Packers.
Okay. All right. That's fair enough. That's tough. That was the toughest one for me to buy. I was like, yeah.
Last one is the Seahawks.
I'm going to buy the Seahawks. It's another team that's totally surprised me. Geno Smith, for whatever reason, is on fire this season. I've been waiting to say it's not real, but he just keeps balling out. And it's not like he's Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes. He's just doing what he can do. And he's doing what he can do at a very high level. So I'm impressed. It's almost like they're relieved to have Russell Wilson out of the building. He's out of Lumen Field, and they look better. It's so weird. And then, great coaching staff too. I think they're going to keep finding ways to pull together wins.
It's interesting. So other than the obvious Colts, everything we picked was the opposite. So the Raiders I bought, the Bucks I bought, the Packers I sold, and the Seahawks I also sold. So you did everything the opposite. And the reason for the Seahawks is they're going to be the 4th team in the NFC West, because Arizona has Hopkins back. They will come back and become the 3rd best team in the NFC West. You can't sleep on the Rams, and you can't sleep on the 49ers. And so just the Seahawks have been okay, but they're only up 1 game on the 49ers and the Rams. So once they have to play them again, then I just see the Seahawks ending up 4th in division.
Yeah, I mean, that's very possible, but I mean, you're kind of naming those teams in those divisions before we go to break here. I guess what I'm saying is, like, those teams that you just mentioned haven't really proven to me that they are consistently good. It's kind of the same thing. They've at least proven that, they can actually put together some momentum on a roster that, isn't as talented. So if it comes to coaching and maybe those other teams get right, 49ers scare me a little bit. I think you're right. Those guys are definitely going to see a rise. How good? I don't know, but we'll just have to wait and see. But we got to go to break here. This is The Breeze. I'm Harrison Arns, just running the board here. We got the host, Haas, here, not here in studio, but streaming, of course, on StreamYard for us. We will have 2 more segments, so keep those questions coming in. Hit up the Starter Heyman text line, 402-464-5685, or you can always call in at the Honda of Lincoln hotline. Same number, 402-464-5685. This is The Breeze. We'll be back right after this break.
There's nothing quite like the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese Beef. The Mercado offers unique ingredients you can't find anywhere else, open every day from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. The full-service butcher shop and retail store is wonderful for meat lovers with their exclusive Certified Piedmontese Beef and assorted sausages, plus other quality meats, including pork, chicken, and a wide range of the freshest seafood. Plus, every Friday from 11 to 2, the Mercado serves up the best lunch in town on their Friday Feast menu. Stop in at the Mercado today at 84th and Havelock or visit their website at cpmercado.com to see current deals.
Hi, Sean Callahan here for Koppel Chevrolet GMC, and things are cooking here in Louisville. We are really hitting on all cylinders right now, and deals are off the charts. We've got a lot more new 2022 and 2023 Chevrolet and GMC inventory than we've had in a long time. So make sure you check us out online, or do even better, stop on in the store and let us show you one in person. Our pre-owned lot is plumb full, so take that short money-saving drive at 144th Street, or check us out online at koppelcars.com. You'll be glad you did.
Early break with Zip and Jake.
The division sucks. The Big Ten West sucks right now. And the fact that you should have a chance to win this thing.
You should be in there.
Next year is the final year of the Big Ten West.
Yeah, it's not.
And I can't see right now projecting the next year one team having an epic rise. It looks like it's going to be very similar to this year of a hodgepodge.
I have a hard time saying that it sucks.
It's not very good.
Early break with Zip and Jake from 6 to 8 every weekday morning on 93.7 The Ticket.
1 in 3 adults has prediabetes. 1 in 3. That means it could be you, your football buddy, your football buddy, or you, your best man, your worst man, you, your dog walker, your cat jogger. While 1 in 3 adults has prediabetes, with early diagnosis, prediabetes can be reversed. Take the risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org. That's doihaveprediabetes.org.
Wait, did they just say 1 in 3 adults has prediabetes? That's 33.33333% of adults. That means it could be me, my boss, or my boss's boss, or me, my favorite sister, or my other sister. That's 7 members of my 21-person romantic book club. Wait, the 1 in 3 could be me, my karaoke partner Carol, or my karaoke enemy Jeff. I'm going to take the risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org.
Brought to you by the Ad Council and its Prediabetes Awareness Partners.
If you can plan barbecues and weddings, you can plan to protect yourself from a natural disaster. Sign up for local alerts, prepare an emergency kit, and make a family communications plan. Get started at ready.gov/plan.
Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
How is your drive to school?
Let me tell you, I had to get my iced coffee first. I just can't seem to put it down. My favorite rapper just announced a tour. My phone was buzzing like crazy. I'm so excited. I had to text all my friends right then to talk about it. Then someone started calling me and...
Let's try that again.
I turned my phone off right away. I never drive distracted.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
For the first time to Afghanistan in 2003. At 4 a.m, my phone rang. They said, "I regret to inform you that your husband was wounded in action." Victor sustained a moderate traumatic brain injury. I was doing school full-time, and I was also then caring for Victor. One of the most important elements of caregiving is taking care of yourself. I just didn't want to forget that I also had goals and that I also had a life. What I did is I challenged Victor to meet me halfway. There are almost 6 million military and veteran caregivers across the nation. We have our own journey, and we can fulfill that journey at the same time that we are helping our loved one.
Visit aarp.org/caregiving for a free military veterans guide to navigate your caregiving journey and better care for your loved one and yourself. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Hey, it's me, your cell phone. We need to talk about something serious. I know you love me. I know you like using me wherever you are, but I feel like this isn't working out when you're driving. I know you may think that it's possible to focus both on me and the road, but I just don't feel the same way. I think we should spend time away from each other when you're driving. It's for the best.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
I'm Chris Jakimick. I served in the United States Air Force, and I deployed 3 times. So in 2017, I was serving as an Air Force First Sergeant. Our motto in that role is, "My job is people, everyone is my business." But unfortunately, in that year, I would lose my own brother, Lance Corporal Adam Jakimick, to suicide. The majority of veteran suicides are from guns. I store my weapons securely, not only for myself, but for my family. Store all your guns securely. Help stop suicide. My service never stops.
Brought to you by End Family Fire and the Ad Council.
You're listening to The Breeze with DP and Haas on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, welcome back into the Breeze. I am Harrison Arns here with Haas as always. No DP today again. Obviously, he's still a bit down, so obviously keep him in mind. Hopefully, he's doing better. Thoughts and prayers out to him. Won't give out exactly what's happening, but he should be all right. We're just waiting for him to get back. Hopefully, when he's 100% here. So no DP, but we do got Haas, and I know Haas has got a special guest calling in eventually here. So Haas, I'll throw it to you.
Thanks. So without DP, again, we talked about it. He's literally the encyclopedia on steroids, and he's 1,000 times better than Google. So when making this top 5 list of who's the best wrestler on the mic, I wanted to put, without putting the word wrestler in there, I wanted to put Paul Heyman in there. I wanted to put Vince McMahon in there, and he's like, no, it has to be wrestlers. So eventually, segment top managers of all time. But for right now, it's the top wrestlers on the mic. And so before the break, we talked about who didn't make the top 5. So again, it's Piper, Cena, HBK, Jericho, and Stone Cold Steve Austin. So would love feedback on who's missing and who should be number 1 from my top 5. Ric Flair, Hulk Hogan in alphabetical order, Punk, Rhodes, and The Rock. And so special guest, here's a longtime friend of mine, Nigel. We used to do a sports show when I was in school at George Mason, and Nigel and I go way back, and love to hear what your thoughts are, Nigel.
Hey, what's going on? How's nice to be on with you.
Hey, brother.
So, we'll talk later about you leaving Austin out of there, but
no, go ahead.
Immediately,
you can.
It'll be a long conversation, but I really Dusty Rhodes maybe a little too old school for me. So maybe it's just some recency bias. I would have kind of swapped those two out of there. But when you ask me immediately, I just think of like who can talk directly into the camera. Like doesn't need anyone as a foil or anyone to go back with. And I just have to say it's Ric Flair, man. He could just talking about himself, not even getting into other people, just talking himself up. And the fact that he did it for decades was the greatest, makes me think about just times of me just watching him just blabber really with my grandpa. Like, so he's been doing it for decades. And I know a lot of people would say The Rock, but I feel like The Rock just needed someone to bounce off of. Like, he could, if you're in the ring with The Rock, he's gonna go into you. But, he's not, I don't think he's like a one-man show per se. Like where Ric Flair was just like, you don't need anyone else on the stage, I think a lot of people no one really tries to emulate The Rock too much because it is like a, if you're attacking the guy in the ring with you or on stage with you, you're going to sound like him if you're just putting him down all the time. But everyone wants to be Ric Flair where they just kind of come in and I have this aura of I'm the only thing that's needed for the show. So I would definitely give the edge to Ric Flair.
It's interesting.
Let me jump in there, House. From the text line, we did over the break there. We got a couple texts. Ric Flair, people were saying that's an easy one. It seemed to be like a no-brainer for our listeners out there.
Yeah, it's interesting. Depending on the age of the person you talk to, I have a couple texts and the names that they give. It's just the generations that they have. And so I'll go through the texts, and for Nigel to be my generation and to pick Ric Flair, that's actually surprising. Just obviously Ric Flair's the man. It's so hard. When I was talking to DP, he said 1, 2, and 3 for him. It's so hard to separate them. And it was actually really hard for me too. So it's pretty cool that DP and I were on the same page of it on who should be in the top 3. Are there other people on the list that you wanted to include, Nigel, or other people you talked about? Or are you just today it's just make sure that Flair gets number 1?
Yeah, and it's funny you say, for me to be on your generation to say Ric Flair, because when I thought of who to put on this list, I went Ric Flair, and then I immediately skipped to CM Punk. He's not been in the game anywhere near as long as those two, but I think, when he talks, I just listen. He might not be the most like, you're not gonna laugh, you're not gonna cry, like he's not gonna tell you these emotional stories, but he's gonna speak his mind. He's like, damn, I respect that. I get that. It's like it's really cerebral with him. So I and then I'll. But The Rock will move the crowd. I think CM Punk is more to me because I'm a know-it-all and he's a know-it-all, so I kind of get that. So without putting too much of my bias in, I would put CM Punk at number 3. You said Rhodes, and who else did you have?
And Hogan.
And Hogan. I mean, just now I'm an adult looking back. Like, what was Hogan saying? What was he saying to me? He was like, "What with the brother all the time, and what you gonna do and eat my?" I mean, it's like, as a child, I kind of got it, but I kind of grew out of it. Like, and I saw even as a teenager when he was like Hollywood and NWO, it's like, it didn't quite have the same appeal to me. So I don't know if it was like either he got worse or I got older and wiser, but I definitely wouldn't put him over Austin, man. We were gonna have to really talk about that.
Hey, that's why you're here. Now, DP, since he's not here, I want to talk for him. I took a lot of notes, and he said people to consider. Jimmy the Boogeyman Valiant. So I'm not gonna lie, the people that he said to consider, I had to go and watch their promos, and I made my own list. I let DP make his own list, but I didn't change my list. I just wanted to hear what DP was thinking, and he was just spewing all this information out. Jimmy the Boogeyman Valiant, Harley Race, Tommy Wildfire Rich. He said he was Daniel Bryan before Daniel Bryan existed, and because of him, there's a Daniel Bryan. And then the Masked Superstar, he was the original cerebral assassin, he said. So those are people that definitely have to hit up YouTube and look for old promos. Now, when we were making our lists and we were talking about it, he said the 10 through 6 is obviously more important because 1 through 5 is going to be pretty much the same for most people. I know 1 through 3 should be the same for most people. He said Savage, Foley, Stone Cold, Mr. Perfect, and HBK.
Oh, Mr. Perfect. That just popped in, man. Mr. Perfect.
Yeah. And so Mr. Perfect is someone that people don't talk about. I mean, I think with Jericho, what I said for being in my top 10, that's someone that most people don't talk about. He made the list, no pun intended. So if I want to go through DP's top 5, I'm going to go 5 through 1. The most underrated on the mic is Dusty before Dusty. It's Billy Graham. And so I had to go watch YouTube videos of him, and he was clashing with Bruno Sammartino, and he's a really big dude, and he was great on the mic. Thanks, DP. I would not have thought of him. Number 4, Hogan. Hogan did it for so long, he said, and Rocky put him in a movie just because of how good he was on a mic. And the Thunder Lips role that he had, he said that was amazing. So Hogan has to be on that list. And then for 3 through 1, again, he said it's very hard to put it in a specific order. 3 is Dusty. 2 is The Rock for him. The Rock's the greatest microphone performer. And number 1, Flair had the most skill in DP's eyes. He was the man, and he told you why, but he could also do it in high school gyms. He didn't need the millions and the millions of fans. He could do it in a small arena, and it didn't matter how it went. So that's DP's top 5, and then the next 5. What are your thoughts on that, Nigel or Harrison?
I mean, again, you just hit the nail on the head about Ric Flair versus The Rock. And I don't know if you really meant to say millions and millions, because that's The Rock. If The Rock needs that, it's like that's part of his stick, like that, the millions and people, the millions, pause, and millions. Well, Ric Flair is like, man, if I'm at the Starbucks grabbing coffee, like, like, I want you guys to know that I got the best order in here, and you guys all want to order what I'm ordering because I am who I am. Like, well, The Rock would be like, man, it's not really popping in here. Let me go on somewhere else. And I hold that against him too, that he kind of, not to say he wasn't chasing audiences. But, you know, him leaving and coming back all the time, that still kind of left a little, you know, maybe if he never left, I wouldn't hold that against him. But Flair did he wrestled, and that's what he did. He focused on that, and everything he did was kind of devoted to the world of wrestling. So,
yeah, I'm honestly, I think that list was. I'll be honest, I'm not super high on The Rock. I know he's regarded as one of the best like people on the mic, but you know, he is a little closer. Obviously, he was in it for so long, but even as I was kind of watching it, never super big Rock guy. I don't know, maybe at the point when I was seeing him, it was kind of washed out at that point. It was kind of like Nigel was saying, in and out, in and out, in and out. Maybe that kind of wore down on me a little bit. But we can kind of continue this conversation. We do got to go to break here. I am Harrison Arns here with Haas as always, and Nigel as well, the special guest calling in for us. So we'll throw it to break here. This is The Breeze on 93.7 The Ticket. We'll be back right after this break.
At Venue Catering and Events, we offer two of the most historic ballrooms in Lincoln. The Jasmine Room, located in the historic Grand Manse in the heart of downtown, featuring a beautiful built-in antique bar, spacious patio, and soaring skylit ceilings. The Scottish Rite Ballroom, located just 2 blocks from the state's capital, boasts intricate hand-carved columns, rich dark wood floors, and lavish chandeliers. The perfect venues to host your wedding, corporate event, or much more. For availability and more information, call us at 402-603-6483.
Alexa, play 93.7 The Ticket.
Okay, playing 93.7 The Ticket.
Alexa, turn down the lights.
Dimming the lights.
Alexa, order a pizza. The big one. All the toppings.
Are you sure that's a good idea?
Alexa.
That's a lot of pizza for just one man.
Alexa, just do it. Stop judging me, just do it.
As you wish.
Thanks, Alexa. You're my best friend.
Action Plumbing, Heating, Air, and Electric is the call I make when I have a need for plumbing services. Whether it's for my home or office, if I need a repair to a water heater, softener, or even my garbage disposal, I know I can count on Action to help. In one simple call, their amazing customer service team promptly schedules a service call, often getting to my needs within a day. Action delivers honest quality services we can count on. To learn more, visit actionlincoln.com.
Hi, this is Pastor Tom. Did you know there's a place kids can seek out help when they're away from home and something goes wrong? They find themselves in a difficult spot or even a dangerous situation. Maybe another child is bullying them or a stranger is following them. Perhaps on a date and things just go bad. In Lincoln, here's where they can find help. It's called Safe Place. Safe Place is a national program for children taking place in thousands of cities across the United States. The People City Mission is sponsoring this program in our community and has set up a number of businesses, fire stations, schools, and nonprofits around the city to become safe locations where kids can seek out help. They just need to look for the big yellow sign that says Safe Place on it. Then go inside and ask for help. We will be quickly connected to them and ensure they make it back home or to whatever resources are needed. If you'd like to find out more about Safe Place and ways in which you can get involved, just go to pcmlincoln.org. Remember, when we all do a little, we change a lot.
Hey, wouldn't it be great if life came with a remote control? You know, you could hit pause when you needed to, or hit rewind. Like that time you knocked down that wasp's nest. Uh-oh. Or that time you forgot to roll up your windows in the car wash.
Fantastic.
Yeah, a remote control would have come in handy then. Well, life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome, but prediabetes does. With early diagnosis and a few healthy changes like managing your weight, getting active, stopping smoking, and eating healthier, you can stop prediabetes before it leads to type 2 diabetes. It's easy to learn your risk. Take the 1-minute test today at doihaveprediabetes.org. Life doesn't come with a remote control. Yikes! So you're on your own with the wasps. You have the power to take control of prediabetes. Visit doihaveprediabetes.org today. That's doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its Prediabetes Awareness Partners.
I learned patience from my adoptive dad. All he had to say was,
"Hey, you got this. Just breathe." Hey, we're pretty good.
Yeah.
Might have to start a band.
I got it.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. You can't imagine the reward. Visit adoptuskids.org to find out more. This message is brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
Papa,
Why can't we telegraph while riding a horse? Son, there ain't no one to blame but Jeffro. He was riding old Betsy the Stallion, tip-tapping away at his telegraph, when blam, ran right into the side of the saloon. Well, if Jeffro can't do it, neither should you. Don't text and drive.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
You're listening to The Breeze with DP and Haas on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, welcome back to The Breeze. I am Harrison Arns here with Haas. We still got special guest Nigel here with us, as well as the music for this segment. This is awesome. I like the music selection here on this one, ramping it up. We kind of left off talking about the top 5 wrestlers on the mic, who was on the list, who was left off the list, with some help from Nigel as well. And then we have some picks at the end of the show as well we're going to run into. So, Haas, I'll throw it back to you.
Yeah, thanks. So, again, we're talking about top 5 wrestlers on the mic and had a couple texts in. I have one from Art of 2M on Instagram. He's the guy who drew my Daniel Bryan WrestleMania 30 moment. So, Art of 2M on Instagram. He texted me his top 5. He said, first of all, I can't believe you didn't pick the 4 Horsemen last week. What are you doing? Why didn't you pick the 4 Horsemen? So, okay, I get it. But number 5, Jesse Ventura. When he heard of Jericho, he's like, put Jericho at 5. 4, Piper. So Piper hasn't been talked about. 3, The Rock. 2, Dusty. And 1, Ric Flair. So it's starting to get pretty unanimous from people that Ric Flair's number 1. DP had him there. You guys have him there.
Yeah, ticket listeners had him there. I was surprised that the ticket listeners were just immediately just Ric Flair. Didn't seem like there was any argument there.
And here's another one, Clyde from Maryland. I wanted to put MJF in the top 5, but Jake Roberts is number 5. CM Punk at 4. 3 is Dusty. 2 is Flair. And The Rock is number 1. And The Rock had the best crowd control I've ever seen. You knew what he was about to say, and he would pause and milk the anticipation. You're never bored with The Rock. So there's one person who differs with you guys. If there's any other texts, we can talk through them. Otherwise, I can give you my top 5 now.
Yeah, we still got some more of the same. There's one text. Let's see, 0462 says The Rock is not even a top 5, not close. So I guess some more hate for The Rock. I guess I don't know why that is. I think Nigel was kind of right. Maybe it was the in and out that kind of bothered people. But he was definitely great at captivating audiences. You have to give him that much.
All right. Well, I guess it's my turn. Hogan's 5. He's there too long, and he did cut some amazing promos. I understand you're like, what was he talking about? But if you didn't hear the promo I made last week of the NWO 49ers, it was in honor of Hogan, and he deserves to be in the top 5 on the mic. Number 4 is Punk. If you say, remind me of the best promo of all time, it is the pipe bomb. So Punk has to be in the top 4.
That's fair.
It. He has to be in the top 4. He has the greatest promo of all time. People are trying to be like him now. When we say MJF, they're trying to be like Punk. Now, yeah, I understand people were trying to be like The Rock. They're trying to be like Dusty, and they're trying to be like Flair. But the newer guys are trying to be like CM Punk. And MJF is literally trying to be like CM Punk. So he has to be number 4. Number 3, it's Dusty. He taught the new generation promos. And watching Cody, the build-up for WrestleMania 38, seeing the stuff with Dusty, it was pretty cool. It made me want to go watch some of Dusty's promos. And he was just a silver tongue on the mic. Dusty has to be there. For people in my generation that don't know about Dusty, there's a reason why people keep talking about him. So look up Dusty. Number 2, I don't need to say who number 2 is, because to all you jabronis out there, actually, Harrison, who do you think should be number 1?
Number 1?
It doesn't matter who you think should be number 1, because it should be The Rock. Because when The Rock speaks, the millions of the Rock's fans will tell you who the great one is. It has to be The Rock. Come on, all the movies The Rock's put out now, I know he left, but if there's a match that we want to see, it's The Rock coming back to take on the Tribal Chief.
Yeah,
I mean, I love
for
Ric
that,
Flair.
man.
I love Ric Flair, but come on, guys. The Rock is just, he is literally the most electrifying man in sports entertainment.
Really? That surprises me. I maybe I'm just not a Rock guy. I couldn't tell you what it is, but he's definitely top 5 for me. I'd put him up there, probably at 2. But I guess maybe it's just I'm biased against him that he'll never get one for me. It's kind of like, players trying to ranking greats. If you're a little biased, you're just not going to do it.
It's interesting that the storyline right now of the bloodline, it's we the ones. Well, The Rock is the great one. And that they're doing stuff to try to be similar to The Rock. And so the bloodline being where they're at and just the tribal chief, the head of the table. Sorry, guys, it's The Rock. And he would let you know on the mic it's The Rock. So
yeah, he definitely was good at just getting the crowd's energy. You watch any of the Rock videos, he, like you said, he milked every second of those. He was so good at getting everyone up on their feet, freaking out, whether he was making you hate him or love him. He was excellent at that. But Haas, we do got about a minute left here. You want to go ahead and get to our picks?
Yeah, Haas Boss Guarantee. You want to go first?
Yeah, so my first one, we kind of talked about it in the buy or sell. I bought the Seahawks despite that division being the way it is right now. The Seahawks are going to take a win tonight. They got the Giants. They're favored by 3, and I think the Giants are going to be surprised a little bit. They're going to understand that we can't fall in the trap of time possession. We can't let the Giants just hold the ball the entire game. I think we're going to see something different, unique here from the Seahawks today.
Nice. My Haas Boss Guarantee, it's hard to pick a team, playing a team coming off a bye, playing on the road, but it's against the Lions. So my Haas Boss Guarantee of the week is the Dolphins, the new Jets, the fast team. With Tua there, they will win.
That's it for us, though. As we're wrapping up here, this is The Breeze. I'm Harrison Arns here with Haas. Great show as always. Appreciate you guys listening and enjoy the rest of your Sunday.
Here's to days spent roaming and to sleeping beneath the